John Edward is here. We know he can talk to the dead, but can he talk to the politicians in Ottawa currently? We'll find out. Here's his bio.
Whether or not you believe in what John Edward does, the man is something of a psychic phenomenon, right? A lot of people think about death or the afterlife, and that's where John comes in. He is a professional medium who looks to connect people with their deceased family and friends. And he's turned it into a bunch of hit TV shows.
Which one would look like a medium-sized dog with its patches on it?
Patches? Oh.
John is considered one of the top 10 psychics in the world. He's got 5 best-selling books. He's been on Oprah, spoofed by SNL.
And he had a very long mustache, like a handlebar of Fu Manchu.
Not really.
Well, I'm seeing a mustache. Are you calling me a liar?
How did he get here? Well, like a lot of people, you're influenced by your folks, and John's mom loved to host fortune-telling parties at home. In fact, when John was just 15, one of those fortune tellers told him he'd become famous for his psychic abilities. Next thing you know, he was doing readings at weekend fairs. But his journey to this place was actually stopped for a bit when his mother died of cancer. He got away from it, got a degree in public health administration, even became a ballroom dance teacher. But along the way, private readings, he was doing them, and eventually decided to focus on helping people get closure with lost loved ones. In 1998, John published his first book. It was a hit. He landed that television show Crossing Over, and then another one, John Edwards' Cross Country. Obviously, there are plenty of skeptics, but he's also got quite the following. In his book, Infinite Quest, he's got this idea to help people develop their own sixth sense.
Welcome, John Edwards. Nice to see you, bud. How's things?
Things are good. Like, just aged like 40 years. Like, watching myself there, it's kind of freaky.
Your whole life, it's almost
I haven't seen that Saturday Night Live clip in a really long time, so it's kind of like funny to watch.
It's like a video eulogy in a sense, isn't it?
Spooky.
What? We can talk about Saturday Night Live thing in the end. You know that people will spoof you in that context. How did you feel when you first saw it?
You know, when you say that you talk to dead people for a living, you have to kind of have a little bit of you can't take yourself so seriously because you know that people are going to fall on both sides of the spectrum. So, you know, as long as people are polite about it and poking fun, it's when they take it to a step of being personal and they're like defining you or attacking you, that's not so cool.
It is quite a career choice. Is it like the priesthood in that people claim they don't call it, it calls them?
Oh, yeah, it's more like the mafia.
Yeah? Which is not unlike the priesthood in some religions. In some.
No, I say that not so lightly in the sense that you do have a calling to do this, and it's not something that you, like, I'm a few credits short on my master's degree in healthcare and public administration, and if you would ask me what I was going to be doing, that's what I was going to be doing. This work exploded on me in a place that I needed to make a decision. And it was very, very hard for me to say, you know, as a married guy, like, I'm going to quit my normal job that has 2.5 to 3 weeks vacation with a 401k plan, because that's what you're supposed to do, and then do this, which has nothing attached to it, and just say, like, I'm going to go do what my passion is.
You know, if we do pop psychology on anybody, it turns out the things they end up doing in their life somehow charts back to their childhood. I suspect that this has to for you as well, doesn't it?
I think in some ways, you know, watching the piece, like, my mom's side of the family was totally into the subject matter. My uncles, my aunts, my grandmother. But my dad's side of the family was not.
But your mom used to throw parties, didn't they? Like,
oh my God, yeah. They would have, like, maybe like once or twice a year, they would have some psychic person come to the house. But my father's rule was, I don't want my son around that. I want him out. Yeah. So I was never allowed to be around. Then around the age of like 13, my mom and dad split. I lived with my mom, and she would just say, look, do not discuss this with your father because I don't want to have to deal with him. Right. But I had adopted his mindset that this couldn't possibly be real.
And then when did it occur to you, in your mind, you thought it might be real?
It occurred to me that it might be real when I went to debunk one of the women that they had at the house, and I couldn't.
You couldn't debunk?
I couldn't debunk her.
Were you qualified to debunk her, or was it just based on,
I thought I was. I was a smart-ass sophomore in high school, and I was like, I'm going to go in there.
You can't even debunk a Rubik's Cube at that stage.
I'm going to sit there, and I'm going to do all the stuff that people, you know, I made sure that there was nobody would know. I just sat there, and I just, like, looked at her. I wouldn't give her anything. The woman did not even look at me. She had her eyes closed. She was holding my high school ring, and she was doing something called psychometry, which is where you hold an object, and you pick up the person's energy from the object, and the first words out of her mouth was, this was what I was supposed to be doing. And I remember, like, looking like, okay, come on, how psychic could she be? Why would she try to get me to join her quote-unquote group? Yeah. She has to know that I don't buy this. But she just did not. She just went right past me and just kept going.
I'm sure you understand why people think this is craziness, right?
I do. I do, because I think that people think a lot of things are crazy when they don't understand it. Like, I found myself watching stuff and listening to people talk and thinking, wow, that's, like, insane. And then I find myself stopping and going, wait a minute, you don't have a right to say that. listen to what the person's saying, and then formulate whether or not you subscribe to it or not.
What's the first time when you feel like you are talking to somebody who's dead? What's that
Well,
first
for
thing?
me, the first time would have to be in my dreams. I used to dream of I used to call him my little old man friend, and it turned out to be my mom's dad, my grandfather, who I never knew. He had been gone for like 10 years before I was born.
Did you explore possibilities that maybe it would be a scientific explanation? It could be hormones in your brain or things firing off in a particular way that made you think you were feeling that?
No, because when somebody gives you information that's factual about the future, no, but I did, as a kid, they actually, when you psychic, they actually did think that I had a tumor. But I didn't. I was fine.
Maybe I am psychic. According to your book, sir, I could be.
Absolutely. According to many people, most people in this audience and watching at home actually are.
They're psychic.
Everybody's psychic.
What
yeah.
is psychic ability in your mind? Because not everybody can speak to the dead.
Right. Psychic ability is using energy and understanding the trends of energy, and that's probably the thing that I like people to understand is that we're all energy, and your thoughts manifest your future. So if you can direct your energy towards a future, then you can create your outcome. So for the people going, oh, I'm a victim, this happened to me, shift that thinking, shifts the outcome. Right. But now take that energy to the other side. Think about it like Facebook. Yeah. I think it's the original social network.
The dead people floating around?
Yeah, it's
Ghosts
like
in the house?
the original concept of like where inspiration of that would come from. It's like, you know, when I hear like...
Except everybody's profile is very private. Right?
Yeah, but you can be, you know, spirited instead of friended. You know what I'm saying? Like you can be acknowledged, or you could be, somebody could let you know that they're around. It's how we stay connected.
Have you found that there are trends in terms of what they tell you it's like? Do they tell you what it's like?
Even if they tried, I probably wouldn't get that, and I'll tell you why. There's certain things that I believe in that I won't talk about. Like, I believe we all have spirit guides, but I won't sit here and tell a client what your guide is, because I can't validate that. I won't tell you what you were.
Is my spirit guide Joe Strummer? Please say yes.
I wouldn't be able to tell you that.
Okay.
However, I wouldn't be able to tell you what you were in a past life either, although I do believe in reincarnation. Right. But I can say to you, oh, by the way, somebody there has a son who passed and they were hit by a car. That I could say. Why? Because it's a fact, and it's something that's factual, it's coming through, that can be supported and validated by the conversation coming from the person who's giving that to me.
What do you think about when people say that you're taking advantage of those who are grieving?
I say that they don't really truly understand the process, to be honest. That's what I say. Because if you're dealing with a parent who's lost a child, and they are sitting with somebody who's legitimate at doing this work, and you help that person know that their child has survived this physical death and that they are still connected, there is no greater reward on the planet than that light turning on that parent's face. There is, and as a parent, I can tell you firsthand, it is the driving force that lets me do what I do.
You got two kids, right? What are they, 4 and 8, roughly? 4 and 8. What's that take your dad to work, to school day like for you? Well, my dad talks to your dead grandfather.
I am not training my kids clearly to be psychic, but this book will probably be my legacy in the sense that I think many years from now, people will not really care who the hell I am, but they are going to care about who they are as individuals and about their own psychic ability. And I think this book will be something that can help them tune into their abilities, and this is what I leave for my kids.
Do you hear them as voices?
No, I hear them as thoughts.
As thoughts?
I hear them as thoughts. So energy comes in, and it's perceived in 3 different ways for me. I see it, hear it, and feel it. And then it's like having a daydream. It's literally like having a daydream and paying attention to what I'm seeing and then describing it.
I say this with no glibness because I'm very curious about this. And when you see people who are battling mental illness, and a lot of them dealing with schizophrenia, they hear stuff too, and they have thoughts that pop into their head as well. Right. And that we all have some version of mental illness in our life. It's just, however, our physical manifestation. So when I hear this, and what's the difference between you and somebody on the street who's not getting the proper treatment? Maybe they are psychic too. Maybe they are.
It's very funny you should say that, because a colleague of mine who's now passed, and I take this as a sign that she might be around me, because this was her classic line.
She did not talk to me at all.
No, she did. So if she did, yes. She would have to, okay.
Not even here.
We were driving past a place called Creedmoor in New York, which is a psychiatric hospital, and she was very, very quiet, and she said, gee, I wonder how many of us are actually in there right now. Yeah. And I looked at her, I was like, in Creedmoor? And she's like, yeah, think about it. She said, we just have a better grip on what it is that we're doing. We understand the reality upon which we're living. She goes, some of them are probably better than we are, what we do, because they don't have that grip. And I'm looking at them like, so basically you're telling me that I'm a nutbag. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah.
So
potentially, right?
Well, maybe a little bit, maybe we all need to be a little crazy then.
You obviously clearly believe in what you believe in, as the great Spider-Man once said in that book. With great power comes great responsibility.
Absolutely.
And Stan Lee is a genius for that particular line. So
you're also picking one of my favorite superheroes, but that's
Spider-Man?
Okay. Yeah.
I'm reading your shit, John. I'm reading your shit, man.
He's got a Spidey sense.
He does have a Spidey sense. When you were a kid, did you think you were Spider-Man? You're like,
I did. I just couldn't understand why I couldn't stick to walls when I.
So You believe it to be true, so is it a heavy responsibility?
It's a huge
Can't be a fun
responsibility.
headspace to be in, man.
No, it's a huge responsibility, and you know, this book I've taken a lot of flack for because I have a very harsh tone in it, and I'm very, very strict for anybody that's looking to develop their abilities because I want them to take the responsibility of it very seriously, because your words do have an impact. So yeah, it is a huge responsibility, but one I don't take lightly.
All right, stick around. We're going to find out if John has ever been harassed by a ghost and why he thinks Twitter and Facebook might be bad for our health. Anthropology with John Edward right after this.
Okay, I'm getting someone now whose name is. It's a. Kenny. Kenny says hi. Okay, now I'm getting that Kenny died,
We told you that.
and this wasn't a good death. It was a sad death. It was like a death that made people sad. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We're back here with John Edward. There's him on South Park, sort of. So Saturday Night Live in South Park, Miss Cleo, famed TV psychic, ripped her head off in Celebrity Deathmatch.
Celebrity Deathmatch, I was not happy. I
You were
lost.
pissed?
I lost to Miss Cleo. Yeah, hello.
How do you feel when you get lumped in with people like that?
Not good.
No?
Not
Because
good.
you know there are enough hucksters out there that...
That's why. Yeah, not good. But you know what? It's for me. Listen, to be parodied on something like that it means that you've permeated pop culture enough that people would understand who you are. So.
Do you think Facebook and Twitter are bad for our psychic health?
I don't think that they're bad. I personally think that they open you up energetically to allowing that kind of stuff in. Where instead of having a conversation with somebody, they'll make a statement, and then it gets put on their wall, and then it gets tweeted out to how many other people, and then it creates... So if you're having a bad day and you put on your status, I'm having a bad day, and you have 200 friends, now 200 friends are now thinking about you having a bad day, compounding you having a bad day. So
it's self-fulfilling in a sense.
It does.
Do you believe in The Secret?
I believe in the law of attraction. I think The Secret packaged it beautifully.
Christians can't stand what you do, can they?
Not all Christians. I think people who have fundamentalist beliefs, or actually more importantly, if you just boil it down to people who come from a place of fear, that they could, yes, people like that who are coming from a place of programming of fear, then yeah, they have a problem.
Rapid fire, Anthropology. Favorite movie, Ghost or The Sixth Sense?
Ghost.
Have you ever been harassed by a ghost?
No.
All right, favorite Ghostbuster, Dan Aykroyd or Bill Murray?
Dan Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd, that's almost the right answer. All right, you're half Italian, half Irish. Which side of the family are better Catholics?
Italian.
Italian, there you go. Do you play the lottery, and are you allowed in casinos?
I have played the lottery, and I am allowed in casinos.
So you let you in casinos? Really? Dude, don't dead people tell you what's coming next? Can't they see?
If I'm playing, no.
Nice. True or false, you met your wife in a ballroom dance class?
I did. She was my teacher.
What's harder to learn, the cha-cha or the merengue?
Cha-cha.
All right. What's harder, learning to communicate with the dead or learning the cha-cha?
Cha-cha.
Does the fact that you do what you do for a living suck for your kids because they will never be able to sneak drugs by you because you'll know?
Let me just tell you, they are screwed.
Are they? Can you tell when people are up to no good?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I nail my son all the time. I'm laying the groundwork now. Like, I'll call him up and I'll talk to him. I'll be like, so what happened today at the school with... And I'll describe it to him, and he'll be like, were you there? And I'm like, no, but my eyes will always be there. And I'll go like that.
But are you bullshitting them? Just
No,
saying
I'm
that?
not.
Okay, fine.
No, I'm absolutely not.
How many times have you been mistaken for that douchebag U.S. Senator John Edwards, and did his extramarital affairs ever complicate your life?
Let's just say that I feel unfortunate for him as well in having to be compared to me and trying to be a politician. But yeah, it's not pleasant when you're like walking through your house and you hear your name on CNN.
Yeah. No kidding. When your lady looks at you and go, excuse me?
Something you
What'd you
wanna
do?
say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yankees or Mets?
Neither.
Whoa! You look Long Island. Aren't you from Long Island?
Neither.
Islanders or Rangers?
Neither.
Neither. Do you like sports at all?
No, obviously not.
Nothing? Soccer? Nothing?
No, I was that fat kid on the bleacher who was like, it was me or the girl getting picked for the team.
The book is called Infinite Quest. John Edward, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.